Hi all and welcome to the cabin. Today Bolt Action 3rd edition is officially released by Warlord Games, and in this video I'll show you how I painted the new US Infantry and German Fallschirmjäger in winter uniforms. Let's get to it. During our recent trip to Warlord Games HQ, we received several of the new plastic sprues from the Battle of the Bulge starter box. I've painted resin and Cyocast miniatures from Warlord before, but this is my first experience with their plastic miniatures. Although we were given these for free, I'll share my honest opinion. The sculpts are detailed, easy to clip off the sprues, and the mold lines are barely visible and can be quickly removed. So the quality of the sprues is very high in my book. Assembly was straightforward and quick, as each miniature only has a few parts to glue together. I like that they are divided into parts that make sense. You won't find a piece consisting of half a torso attached to an arm holding one part of a weapon. This means there are no seam lines to fix, and also that all arms fit with all bodies, allowing you to create a variety of poses for your units. I can also appreciate that they don't feel over-designed with little gadgets and gizmos everywhere. In fact, all the extra equipment are separate bits, so you can choose which and how many to use, further ensuring that each soldier looks unique. If you don't add any extras, a soldier can be assembled with as few as 3 parts: a body, arms with a weapon, and a head. I'm hard-pressed to find any flaws, really. I do wish that the parts could be numbered on the sprues like they are on the Warlord community website. That would make assembly even easier. But all in all, I am really impressed with these minis. If you're interested in ordering some for yourself, we have an affiliate link to Warlord Games in the description and pinned comment below. I'm using Citadel paints for this guide simply because that's what I have at home. I know that Vallejo has a whole line of model colors, which are even named after historical uniforms. In fact, I was close to buying a bunch of those for this video, but I decided that I own enough colors already. Maybe I'm not going to achieve the historically correct shade of olive green, but at the end of the day, these are my miniatures and I get to choose how to paint them. If you don't use Citadel paints and still want to follow along this guide, you can always just look up a conversion chart online or mix up a similar shade with the paints you have at home. Let's start off with the German Fallschirmjäger, which I undercoated with Grey Cere, a light grey that works as a great starting point for the garments. I quickly added another coat of Grey Cere with a normal brush to achieve even coverage and the right finish. Next up, I washed the uniform with Drakenhof Nightshade and finished it off with a highlight of Corax White. For the helmet, gloves, and certain fabrics, I used Dark Reaper as a base coat. These areas were then washed with Nuln Oil and highlighted with Thunderhawk Blue. The boots, belts, and straps were base coated with Abaddon Black and highlighted with Mechanicus Standard Grey. I used Kislev Flesh as a base coat for the skin. After that, I washed the face with Reikland Flesh Shade and applied a highlight of Flayed One Flesh. I decided to leave the eyes unpainted, as I felt that leaving the area in shadow was sufficient for these 28mm sculpts. However, I might make the extra effort and paint them on the commanders. I painted the wooden stock on the rifle with XV88s, followed by a wash of Reikland Flesh Shade. To highlight the wood, I chose Deathclaw Brown. Next, I painted the metallic parts with Iron Warriors. All that was left now was to highlight this with Ironbreaker, and the Fallschirmjäger was finished. Before moving on to the base, let's get the US Infantry painted as well, starting with an undercoat of Zandri dust. Note that any off-white or brown would work just as well. I chose to first paint the coat with Doombull Brown, as this is the largest surface area. After that, I washed everything with Agrax Earthshade. And to finish the coat off, I highlighted it with Tuskor Fur. Let's move on to the details. The helmets, straps, and gloves were painted with Lauren Forest. I then washed these with Athonian Camo Shade and finished them off with a highlight of Deathguard Green. I painted the skin and the rifle in the same way as the Fallschirmjäger earlier in the video. All that was left was to paint the buttons with Liberator Gold, and the US Infantry was also finished. I based both miniatures in the same way, starting by sponging some white scar on their boots to represent snow. I then painted the rim with Abaddon Black, and at this point I varnished them with a 50-50 mix of matte and satin varnish from Vallejo. To simulate dead grass, I used PVA glue to apply Wasteland Soil from Geek Gaming Scenics. On one of the bases, I also glued a 6mm winter grass tuft from Green Stuff World. I have other tufts that I want to try as well when I paint more of these. For the snow, I made a few tests with different products and found a method that I liked. The first step was to apply AK Interactive snow to the majority of the ground. While still wet, I then sprinkled Woodland Scenic's Soft Flake Snow on top. With that, both miniatures were completed. Assembling and painting this new bolt action infantry was really quick and fun, and I'm looking forward to batch painting more of them using the color schemes I came up with. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and once again, a special thank you to Arnold over on Patreon. If you want to support us, all our links are in the description below. We'll see you next time. Good luck with your miniatures.